Okay, next category.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Voting trinities, $100.
Low hemoglobin, petechiae, and elevated BUN and creatinine.
Enoxaparin purpura.
What is?
Oh, sorry, we went to the answer.
You want to take the same?
Yay.
Just
Two different answers.
That's right.
Madam Apolia.
All right. Next category.
Achy breaky heart 100.
Initial treatment for this rhythm.
Shock.
I heard it. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it's towards odds. Yeah.
Good job.
All right. Achy breaky heart for 200. All right.
A lot of people with breaky hearts here.
Most important risk factor for the development of heart failure with preserved ejection fraction.
Hypertension.
What is pressure?
Correct.
You going to give us board certification after all this?
I am, because you're all gonna get CME. All right, next category.
What's bugging you? 200.
All right. Culprit for this lesion.
What is
Solar.
What is staph aureus?
HB.
All right.
Getting on my nerves for 300.
All right. All right. Injury to this nerve after thyroidectomy can result in hoarseness of voice. Get ENT. Yes. All right.
Holy Trinity is for 300.
Distended neck veins, distant heart sounds, and hypotension.
Tamponade.
Good job.
That goes for every
I was like, everyone got that point.
Points are So what's bugging you? 500.
Ooh.
I am not ID, but.
Plasmodium species which infects humans and macaque monkeys in Southeast Asia.
What is Plasmodium falciparum?
I am not ID either, so I have to double check. Oh, nope, no.
That's fine. This is like a really rare one.
Just give us the $500.
What's in a name? $300.
No.
This condition presents with pharyngitis and glomerular nephropathy, also known as IgA nephropathy. I thought I heard it. Yeah. Burgers. All right. You have another one going for 500? Does anyone want to do?
Holy Trinity.
All right. Stasis, endothelial injury, and hypercoagulable state. There you go. All right.
That was 500.
That was 500.
We
Yeah.
got rid of
Getting on my nerves, so 500.
Injury to this nerve results in neuralgia and erythema.
Lateral cutaneous nerve.
Correct.
Good job.
All right.
Getting on my nerves, so 400. What is Horner?
What is Horner syndrome?
Well, what's the nerve?
Ocular nerve.
Yep. The third one, yeah.
nose, 200.
Wrist job.
Nerve injury.
What is radial nerve?
What is regional?
That is correct. Do we have med students in the back at all? You guys want to come up? You guys want to come join? We have double jeopardy coming next.
Yeah.
What's bugging you for 400?
Most common bacterial cause of Lemierre syndrome. Fusobacterium necrophorum. All right.
What's in a name for cancer?
Bullous disease called pemphigus neonatorum or staphylococcal scalded skin syndrome in newborns.
What is indigo? What is Kawasaki? Streptococcal. Group B strep? No, it's like streptococcal.
Ritter's disease. It's a name.
Achy breaking heart for 500.
Congenital defect with pulmonary artery outflow for LV and aorta outflow for RV. There is a closed circuit for the pulmonary vein from the left atrium to left ventricle to pulmonary artery.
What was the answer?
There was tetralogy of Philip, sorry, yeah.
Holy Trinity is for 200.
Irregular respirations, low heart rate, and isolated systolic hypertension. Cushing's triad.
What's bugging you for 300?
19-year-old man presents with weakness, malaise, and dry cough. Temperature is 100 degrees Fahrenheit. A BAL shows slow-growing organisms on sterile-containing media. Laboratory studies of serum show presence of cold agglutinins.
Mycoplasma?
What's the word?
Yeah, what's the organism? Pneumonia.
Pneumonia.
Yes. Very good.
I was like, I can't remember which mycoplasma it was. All right, we got what's in the name, Holy Trinities, and achy breaky heart.
What's in a name? 400.
Condition is due to acute release of prostaglandins following a treponemal infection.
What is?
Yep,
Judge Times.
yep. All right. Holy Trinities, achy breaky heart. Most likely cause of this rhythm.
Hyperkalemia.
All right. We got 2 categories left.
Holy Trinity.
Right upper quadrant pain, jaundice, and fever.
Charcoal stripe.
Yep. And then last category. Patient presents with sharp chest pain exacerbated with inspiration.
Pericarditis.
Yep. All right. I see some medical students in the audience now, so we have one more round if you guys want to come up here and join and form some teams. We got double jeopardy now. All right. So we have the last prep question. Out of the 2 of you, you get to choose. 75-year-old male presents with gait disturbance for the last year. Wife notes that he has been more inattentive and forgetful. On review of system, patient admits to urinary incontinence, he has a past medical history significant for depression, and has been following a psychiatrist for years and is currently on Prozac.
What is the health message?
H? Yep. So that would be 200. Oops. All right, next one.
Take my breath. 200.
2 jugular pulse wave abnormalities associated with pulmonary hypertension.
ASD.
A, S, V wave.
Yep, A. Next one. Dopamine hydroxylase converts dopamine to norepi. This vitamin is the cofactor.
B6.
Oh, vitamin C, sorry. Yep. I got that one wrong. So that would be negative 200. We're actually keeping score on this one. All right.
Reaches 1,000.
Sickle cell.
Correct. Huh? We're gonna do her birthday. Well, there's a prize, so that's so we're trying to keep score here.
Pictures worth 1,000 words per 1,000.
All right. Hiatal hernia. Do we have any GI in here?
Pictures worth 1,000 words.
Pancreatic cirrhosis.
That's correct. Nice.
Very good.
Right.
Yes, back to basics 400.
NSAIDs act primarily by blocking its synthesis. There we go. Oh, they want the specific one, D2. I will accept prostaglandins. All right.
Back to basics 600.
Caffeine exerts its biological effects by blocking these receptors. What was it?
Norepinephrine.
Adenosine, yeah. All right. Contact dermatitis is this type of immune reaction.
What is type 4?
Type 4. Rapidly spreading multiple purple pedunculated skin nodules that tend to bleed if they yeah. So I don't even need to finish this one.
This is the
Oh.
points.
They want the actual. Oh. I got that one wrong too. All right.
Defenseless.
Disease characterized by lack of thymus development.
I think I got it.
Oh, DeGeorge. Thymic aplasia. It's been a minute since I've done internal medicine. Been in endo world for a long time.
Brain imitators, 400.
45-year-old woman presents with pain, stiffness, and swelling of small joints in the hands and feet for 3 months, increasing fatigue that's caused her to miss work at least 1 day a week, no other medical problems. MCPs are swollen, CBC, and yep.
600.
27-year-old immigrant from El Salvador has a large left breast mass that has slowly grown over 7 years. The mass is firm, not tender, rubbery, and completely movable. No palpable axillary nodes or skin ulceration. Sarcoma pyoides. Imitator.
Also take my bread.
Minimum pack years required for lung cancer screening.
20. What is 20?
20.
Yes.
So who said 20? All right.
I'm
Oops.
a pulmonologist. Sorry.
There you go.
Just kidding.
All right.
Brain imitators.
Associated with malar rash that can affect kidneys, blood cells, the greatest imitator.
SLE.
It's like lupus, SLE, we will accept all.
Yeah, I had sense.
Somebody please tell the full form of SLE.
Systemic lupus
Versus.
rheumatologist. So back to basics, 1,000 or 800?
Oh, great imitators.
Oh, great imitators, 1,000. 32-year-old woman presents to her physician complaining of double vision, past medical history significant for type 1 diabetes, treated with continuous subcutaneous insulin pump.
Multiple.
What was it?
Multiple.
Oh yeah, mentions that she has experienced arm weakness and numbness that resolves spontaneously over the course of a couple of weeks.
Pancreas tumor.
Multiple sclerosis.
Good job.
All right.
We need to read question, you have to slow down, not everyone is like from the same specialty, we need to read question.
Sure.
Meningioma.
Correct. Where's the picture?
What is the blue screen?
All right, that one was a moot point. Okay.
Defenseless.
25-year-old male, healthy until the age of 22. In the last 3 years, he has had multiple episodes of bacterial pneumonia requiring hospitalization. Chest x-ray shows moderately severe bronchiectasis. Pilocarpine-induced sweat test negative. CBC is within normal limits. Delayed hypersensitivity skin shows reactivity to candida antigens.
Is it IgA? What is CVID? What is CVID?
It is CVID. All right, you get to choose the next category.
1,000.
Plasmodium species which infect. Oh wait.
No.
We did that one already. Okay.
It was for 10 dollars.
All right, we got to take my breath away. Back to basics.
Back to basics, 800.
Cori cycle allows this molecule to be transferred from muscle to the liver for conversion to glucose to resupply muscle. Lactic acid. Yeah. Back to basics, Finley.
1,000.
We said back to basics or take my breath away? Okay. We'll finish the category. This embryological structure gives rise to the cerebral hemispheres, caudate, putamen, amygdaloid, claustrum, lamina terminalis, olfactory bulbs, and hippocampus. This is you guys.
You look dressed.
Encephalon. All right, take my breath away. Which 600? I heard 600. Okay. The CT image depicts this disease.
What is this? What is
It's either bronchiectasis or cystic fibrosis.
cystic fibrosis?
Bronchiectasis. 800 or 1,000?
800.
72-year-old woman comes to the physician because of a 3-day history of fever, shortness of breath, difficulty swallowing, chest pain, and cough. She is frail, tachypnic with equal pulses bilaterally and dullness to percussion over the right lower lung. Labs reveal decreased oxygen AO2 and PCO2. Chest X-ray shows area of opacification in the lower region of right lung. Be specific. Aspiration pneumonia. 57-year-old man has progressively enlarging squamous cell carcinoma of the lung despite radiation therapy. He dies 6 months later. Tumor cells contain P53 gene mutation, leading to an inactive gene product. Based on this finding, the progressive tumor growth despite irradiation therapy is most likely to be related to a defect in the cell cycle arrest in this phase of the cell cycle. G1. Oops. All right, so Final Jeopardy. I'm gonna leave Final Jeopardy to these two lovely contestants in the front. And then whoever answers first. Category is feeling hormonal. Yay. I'm endo. This is the order hormones are lost after pituitary injury. All right, and your timer starts now. All right. We'll start with you to finish first.
TSH, LH, FSH, ACTH, and GH.
That is incorrect.
So prolactin, GH, LHFSH, ACTH,
That is also incorrect. GH, LHFSH, TSH, ACTH.
There a mnemonic to remember that? There a mnemonic to remember that?
I always remember it based on which one is most important.
The growth hormone.
Growth hormone, you can do short. LHFSH, we need that to continue our species. TSH, the next most important, and then without ACTH, you go into adrenal crisis.
A is last.
Yes. I was like, that's the way I remember it. It's like, which one will kill you first? That's the last one you lose. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you for being patient with the timings.
Thank you so much, everybody, for attending today. This is the first annual AAPI's Launchpad event. Thank you so much for our judges for coming out here on your own time and personal. For your personal time as well. What we're going to do is follow a format as such. So we have about 80 minutes right now instead of the 90. We're going to have presentations from each one of 5 different potential companies that are looking for investment. If we have a small slot time additional, I'll try to squeeze in one more. The format will be about 10 minutes of questions and of presentation by the presenters themselves. There will be hopefully a dynamic discussion between the judges and the presenters. There'll be about 2 minutes as the companies are rolling off, and then in between each one of the presentations, we're going to have one of our sponsors speaking. So there'll be a total of 4 sponsors speaking for about 5 to 10 minutes apiece, and then we'll be going between each company. So for the first thing to do, I thought, why don't we have all the judges introduce themselves, just so you get a sense of their background. As you know, these are all world-class guys with different perspectives. Some are in hospital systems, some are family offices, some are practicing physicians. I think we have 2 physicians here both, which is always great to have perspective from the medical side as well as the business side. So with that, please welcome our 4 investors or sharks, and please maybe we can start with you, Brian, and do all these live remarks in live.
Well, thank you so much for having me. My name is Brian Hogan. I'm the founder of Paradigm Group Capital. It's an investment and advisory vehicle I started. We do investments anywhere from fashion to technology, and we work with offices in the Middle East, Africa, obviously New York, North America, and Hong Kong. I'm excited to be here today. I'm excited to be with these 3 fine gentlemen here and to hear what we have to, what's going to be presented to us. We also just made a big investment in a company called C#, which is an amazing company, which we could talk about afterwards. But we're looking forward to hearing everybody today, and I want to thank you.
Good to see this crowd. My name is Abdul Mahajan. I'm a physician and entrepreneur investor, and I work for UPMC Enterprises and senior vice president there. It's Enterprises is a venture fund for commercialization arm of UPMC Health System. It's a $30 billion organization. The fund itself is about a couple $1 billion. And we have about 36 portfolio companies. The vast majority of them are in the digital health space. And I also represent Holy Capital, which is an investor firm in New York.
Nice to meet you all. Thank you for coming. Dr. Ajay Rastogi, I'm an interventional spine specialist and pain management surgeon. I'm a co-founder of North American Medical Associates. It's a 4-state multi-specialty practice in New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. I also run our family office, which invests in a variety of medical startups, from pharmacy and pharmaceutical setups and platforms, ranging from hospital operations to GLP production. We also help manage and help underserved hospitals and health systems in the domestic and international area, as well as managing physician practices, helping them leverage their skill sets so they can be the best clinician that they are. Interested and excited about all these different various new startups that would just make, quite frankly, from a selfish standpoint, make my life a lot easier. So I really appreciate you all coming out.
Nice to meet everyone. I'm Jacob Bhagat. I've been independently investing for a little over 10 years and started a fund about 5 years ago, focused on health insurance innovation. We're currently on our 2nd fund. It's called Archetype. We focus on health insurance technology, so I'm excited to learn more about what everyone has to say here today. Glad to be here with everyone on stage.
So for that, I'd like to recognize Dr. Chibol. He's our convention chair. Thanks for helping putting this all together. Do you want to say a few words?
So thank you very much. This was conceived about, I think I told you last year, Shabir, right? I'm going to do this. I've seen every year the brain power in the Indian community, and they've been doing stuff, but they've been doing it separately. I met I know very well 2 of the 4 panelists. I met Chetan about 7 years back, the behavioral platform, right?
Yep.
Yes, I still remember that. Gautam was my CFO, and now he's independently very successful. So I told him, why don't you get a group of people to encourage the Indian community for creating some kind of opportunity, like the Shark Tank. We can't use the term Shark Tank because someone's going to arrest me and take me away. But this is the Shark Tank, and we would like you to have a competition to come up with a similar name with the Indian connotation. So I couldn't find an Indian fish that was fierce enough.
Tiger pond.
Which one?
Shark, instead of shark, with tiger.
Tiger prawns. Oh, tiger forest. So anyway, so this is the first year we're doing this, and I want to take this on for the future. Hopefully it's televised in future, to make it bigger. You guys keep getting more involved. Thank you for coming at a very short notice. Gautam here, Gautam, Mahesh, and Justin. I told them they actually got the entire group organized for the entire conference. So Gautam's done a tremendous amount of job. He curated all the people, got everybody together. Let's give him a big applause. Mahesh Chan, is he here? You're already there. Mahesh Chan, give him a big round of applause for him. And Justin, I think he just left. He's going to be nominated into Indian mayor pretty soon. Anyways, thank you very much, and all the best, and all the contestants, all the best to the contestants.
It looks like CrowdStrike has still been struck. So with that, are you good to, do you need slides or you can just wrap? Okay, why don't you come on up? So our first presentation is for Adriel. If we can pull it up, that'd be great. If not, we'll have him just present. But you have 10 minutes for the time, and how do we want to present?
Perfect. Thanks, Don, for the invite. We don't need slides. You guys have slides. I'll keep the presentation short. No, good enough. So what we do is we work with the millions of internationals moving into the U.S. any given year. Whether individuals are coming to the U.S. for work, for school, if we look at how many Indian students are coming in every given year, our view is the U.S. government is giving work visas, is giving student visas, but the process of onboarding into America is incredibly difficult, incredibly complicated. And that's why we built Adro. The goal of the business is very simple. How do we make life easier for the folks moving in, whether they're coming in for work, for school, for any flavor? The 2 flavors that we focus in on are first the banking side, checking, credit, savings, moving money, and get everything set up. And the second core component that we're looking at is the healthcare side, of giving them the information when they need before they get here, and as they grow their lives here for however long they may be staying, whether it's for the 2 years of grad, 4 years of undergrad, or as they continue to build their lives here. And so our focus, international students and workers. For the student side, we're B2B. We work with universities. We're already live with about a dozen universities where we embed into the international student flow, pre-arrival, and then working with employers. So think nurses, think au pairs, farm, labor, fisheries, these institutions that are helping hundreds of thousands to millions of workers move into the US every year. Those are really our core focus. They're coming here, yet everything is incredibly difficult. Going into a US bank, which I'm sure many of you guys have dealt the first time here, they're like, you don't have a social, but we can't verify your address. Well, you got here 4 days ago. Of course you can't. How do we make that process easier for those individuals? Right now, if you're moving into the US, you need anywhere from 5 to 10 different vendor relationships to do anything normal. You can't get a cell phone, a SIM card, because you don't have credit history. You don't get your social 3 to 6 to 12 months after you arrive here. Everything kind of cascades. So what we have built is the ability to actually set up everything in about 195 countries before individuals ever step foot in the US. So we can we can complete the identity from anywhere on earth with an asterisk, as long as it's not Russia, Cuba, North Korea, or Belarus. Syria, not Syria either. If it's an OFAC sanctioned country, we can't, but anywhere else we can open accounts and get the identity piece set up. As soon as we go into that flow, then we can open checking accounts, savings accounts, the credit builder product so they can start building their credit. And then when individuals get their social later, we'll map it back to that individual. Where the healthcare component is very interesting is how do we help people make sure that they're not underinsured, make sure they're not using predatory international insurances, and make sure that they have the information they need when they get here. We have international students and workers who come in, have an incident, and they're like, I'm not going to go to the hospital because I don't want to go bankrupt. When in reality, we know based on the school they go to what level of coverage they have, helping them understand the level of information. The healthcare component is a massive information gap because you're coming to the US for school or for work. What you're thinking about is your job, how you're going to pay for it, all of that. What you're not thinking about is the 47 other things that happen downstream. So core products, banking suite. With the banking side, we cover identity, international money. I think Western Union is the devil personally. The usury rates that they charge and some of those international money transmitters, our view is we don't mark cross-border up whatsoever. We charge no fees for incoming money in. And then the healthcare side, working with the schools, working with the other partners in the tech stack to make sure that the international workers and students have the information and the access that they need. So, having credit and savings before anybody ever steps foot into the US, ability to pre-fund the accounts, ability to generate proof of funds paperwork for the visa process, and then the ecosystem. These are where we work with many of our partners around the world to help get them access to products and services at parity. Whether it's SIM card when they get here, whether it's the healthcare and understanding the insurance components of it, whether it's helping them with a student loan or renter's insurance because of how difficult it is to rent as an international. That all falls under the ecosystem side. And lastly is education. Many of you may have kids or students. Lecturing them doesn't work. What does work is, hey, here's the 4 sentences you're going to need to know. And in 3 months when you realize you want to learn it again, here's the same exact 4 sentences. This is what's covered, this is what a copay is, this is what the deductible is. Here is the primary medical institution within your school, within your region. Here's what you need to know. So we've split our business across those 4. One is access. How do we help them with access? And 2 is just literacy. How do we help them understand US banking? How do we help them understand healthcare? How do we help? Banking abroad is not banking in America. Banking abroad is money in an account. America is credit. Money in an account is secondary to the length of your credit history and all that information. Explaining that to people abroad is incredibly difficult. They're like, it's my money, why can't I use it? Well, because American laws are structured in a very different way. That's where we really come in. But at our core, we provide access. We provide access to the bank, we provide access to the checking accounts, the savings accounts, and all the information and the flows. Since we complete the identity component, that's where our B2B partnerships come in. Pre-arrival, we'll jump to the next slide. So our whole path is B2B. We're not doing B2C customer marketing or communications. We work through the ISO Office of Schools. We embed into the LMS, the Learning Center within the institutions. So within Rutgers, when somebody with international student comes in, our information is already in Canvas and in the process so they understand that. With employers, the same flow. Au pairs that are coming in from different parts of the world, farm fishery, how do we help them get their accounts set up so they don't need money wired back to their home country, lose 7% on exchange rates, all for them to send it back. Our goal is really being that international partner for these individuals. We're working with Overseas Student Services, which brings about 30,000 a year in from China. We're working with UpGrad. We're working with a couple of large institutions out of India. Our main focus is let's work with people before they ever step foot in the US, and let's grow with them as they grow their lives here. How do we make money? Same as most other financial institutions. We make money on the savings accounts, we make money on the flow, we make money on the interchange. Everything is digital, there's no branching on the back end side. We're a fintech, and then we have our bank sponsor that's actually our FDIC insured accounts. All accounts are FDIC insured. And on the healthcare and the partner side, we make money in partnership with many of the institutions every time they get a SIM card, every time they get student loans. We're able to make money on the economics there, while at the same time helping our consumers get access to good products that are built for internationals. And then our team, we're a team of about 15, 7 here in the city, 7 around the world. My background is payments. Outside of this, I teach at Cornell within the grad program on Roosevelt Island. I teach MBA FinTech at Baruch, and then I teach a computer science data product class. My co-founder spent about 10 years at Epic in healthcare, working in healthcare implementation for Epic around the world. And then our tech team, Kevin, was at Uber 7 years pre-IPO. So he had a great time. And now he's just building startups with us. All of our devs are all in-house W2 employees here in the city. And our speed to move has been a lot easier by us being all together. But that's the quick background. 1 in 6 Americans right now are international born. It will be 1 in 5 by 2050. Our goal is to make life easier for those 70, 80 million plus people that are moving in and out of the US and money in and out of the US. How many minutes was that?
That was actually perfect. We have 2 minutes for the Sharks for Q&A. So for all the other companies as well, about 8-minute presentation. Oddly, that was right on time. So thank you so much for that. So judges Q&A, please.
Yeah, so how long is the normal process for this without?
Oh, please. Brian,
Yeah.
please.
How long is the process?
Which process?
So let's say in the traditional way, a student coming in without this. Exactly.
So
and what would be like, if you could just walk me through bird's eye view, just like the traditional steps and what you're going to do to help that better and speed it up.
Perfect. So think of N as the day of arrival. So we come in N minus 120, N minus 90. We'll work with them before they ever step foot in the US. We can pre-originate everything, create everything for them, and the day they get at the JFK, everything opens up. Their cards, their accounts, all of their services. In the current flow, what an individual would have to do is they have to fly here to the US, have a Forex card in their hand. I don't know if any of you guys had to deal with Forex cards when you showed up. Then go to a bank in their local community and try to get a checking account. Come in with your passport, come in with all of your documentation, and hope the bank opens it. You have no credit product that you can get off the ground because you have no social, and most US banks aren't built to digest individuals without a social. So that the banking can take anywhere from a couple weeks if they have a branch in their community that does it. If not, when we were up in Ithaca, a bunch of our classmates waited until they moved to the city. The credit part is almost impossible. There's only 3 or 4 fintechs, company startups that will give you a credit builder on the day of arrival. The problem with not having the credit solution or any credit product up front is you don't start your credit file, which makes leasing and renting at a later point much harder as you're moving off campus. So think anywhere from 3 to 6 months, but if you're in the right area and you know exactly what you're doing, 1 to 2 months to get it all going.
Excellent, thank you.
So with regards to the students, my understanding is there's about 800,000 or less than 1 million students that come in every year. And what percentage of these that you think would be interested in something like this? And how do you convert that into something that's monetizable and that's viable?
So all in between grad, undergrad, and different learning programs is about 1.5 to 2 million. And then on the work side, there's another 1 to 3 million, depending on how you actually count it. So if you think of like the probationary visas that the US gives 700,000 a year that don't count to the visa flow. US Department of Immigration data is a joy to work with. So like from a raw student and learning, there's somewhere about the 2 million, and somewhere on the worker side about 2 to 3 that get some flavor of work authorization. We monetize it on, of course, the banking side, money in, money out, on the flow, and on the interchange and swipes. We also monetize it on the partner side. So every single individual partner that we originate from a product and services perspective, so any student loan, we'd get 1% of the way from the partner side. The way that we built this is, how do we do this without charging the consumer ever? How do we do this without having any fees on the account? How do we do this without having a Forex fee on the transfers in? How do we do this where none of it comes out of the consumer side? So from a program perspective, there's no account minimum fee, there's no opening fee, and all of this through the partner and the interchange.
So right now, currently, how many students do you have live in the system? It's going to be like a 3-parter. How much average revenue are you generating per student? And how many students do you need to, say, get to a break-even?
3,500 break-even point. We, from a product perspective, we've been in build for about 1.25 years. We launched Monday. We're fully live with checking credit savings, international money in. As of Monday, and we're a couple hundred users right now. All of our marketing push is going to start Monday to Tuesday with a bunch of our partners and our universities. 3,500 is the break-even point on the student account on our economics. The joys of having a team of 7 full-time is our break-even is a lot easier than most other financial institutions.
How do you get those students? How are you acquiring those students?
Everything is B2B. We only work through universities, or we work with employers and agencies, or anybody down the student route. So think pathway providers that are bringing people in. Think international ISO offices that are bringing people in. Think working agencies that have 50, 60,000 nurses coming in and healthcare workers. We don't do any B2C marketing, any B2C communications. It's much easier when it's our logo next to a Cornell logo, or lender which says you have to open an account to finish your student loan through the process. We're not B2C at all on the comp side. Everything is through partners.
So they're just pushing the student right to.
Yeah. And then we do a rev share with those. And that was our main focus, is nothing has to go B2C because the acquisition of that is not a sustainable business.
So that average revenue per customer was $200-ish, like where?
Average, so customer lifetime value, we project about 600 to 700. Okay. And then the average per year is 300 to 500 for the customer. Because internationals coming in on the work side are 3 to 5. Internationals coming on the student side are 3 to 500. Internationals coming in on the work side are 1 to 300. Thank you, folks. Gotham, thank you for the invite.
Thank you so much for that presentation, fantastic. While we're loading up the next presentation, which is Scott. Scott, are you here? Great, please come on up. So if you can do about 10 minutes, it's cool. Great, thank you so much.
Hey everybody, I'm not here pitching a company, so I'm here pitching myself basically. I'm sure you have seen a lot of financial advisors coming up here this weekend talking about money management, asset management, which is nowadays pretty much the same across the board. We all use the same modules, we all use the same outsourcing of managers, whether you're at Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, or any of the smaller firms like myself at Alliance Global, we all follow the same modules for asset management. I'm not here to talk about that today because you probably had a lot of that over the week. I'm here to talk about something a little different, and that's smaller investors, unlike institutions, having access to doing alternative investments such as initial public offerings, secondary offerings, and private shares of large companies that are not yet public. So I work at Alliance Global Partners. We've been around since 1980. We're a full-service advisory firm. I've been with the firm for a few years. I've been doing this for almost 30 years. We manage over $4 billion, almost $5 billion. Thank you. We have offices globally, 19 offices globally, and we clear through Fidelity, which I'm sure you're all very familiar with. These are some of the offerings that we've participated. I've included in here, and you have my friend Jay is handing out some brochures and business cards if anyone has any interest. We've been involved in over 100 offerings this year. We have relationships with all the big firms, some of the smaller firms. Again, these are investments in initial public offerings. If anybody isn't familiar, that's the first time a company actually trades public. Or when a company wants to raise money in the secondary market, they also are able to raise money via secondary offerings. So we have the access and the relationships with banks of all sizes, big banks, small banks, as you can see here, some of the names, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Benchmark, Citi, so on and so forth. And we're able to get our clients access to these types of investments, which were mostly for larger institutions. And you can see on the end, you see all the results. You can see the highs for the year, the lows for the year, the price the companies went public at, where they're sitting as of the end of last week. So we've been involved in over 100 offerings this year so far. We also do a lot of preferreds, which have high yielding dividend plays, anywhere between 7 and 9.5% with some of the larger banks. We also do private shares. We recently were involved in a company called Anthropic AI, which I don't know, it's been in the news a lot recently. Amazon invested $2.75 billion. It was their largest investment they made in an AI technology company. We were able to get shares at the exact same market cap as Amazon. Very famous investor you guys probably have heard of, Sam Bankman-Fried. His shares were seized by the government. We started a fund. We put together a group of investors. Instead of investing $1 billion or a couple $100 million, we put together a group of investors between $50,000 and $1 million, put together a fund, and bought some directly from the government at auction for our clients at the same price that Amazon paid. So Again, this is a different style of investment, not necessarily for everybody. This isn't asset management, it's a little bit more speculative, but there is a tremendous amount of upside and opportunity in getting involved in a lot of these types of offerings. It's a little way to differentiate ourselves from everybody out there that's pitching you guys asset management and things of that nature. And I think it's a very exciting time for the capital markets. As interest rates will start to come down, the capital markets will even get more exciting with many more opportunities. So that being said, I'm pretty much finished. If anyone has any questions, my buddy Jay handed out business cards and brochures. Feel free to give me a call at any time. If you have any questions now, I'm fine with that as well. Anyone has any questions? Thank you.
Thanks. Scott, I appreciate that as much. Thanks so much for your flexibility. I apologize for about yesterday. Thanks again for sponsoring AAPI.
Namaste to all of you, it being an Indian forum and Indian diaspora. And thank you, esteemed judges, and all the people who are here to support all companies, because startup is an amazing field that requires all of you. And healthcare startup especially needs healthcare investors just like you all. So today, my name is Dr. Raj Shankar. I'm a trained physician, but an entrepreneur at heart. So, my journey from the hospitals to the boardrooms has led me to eBox. Let me introduce you to eBox, the emerging leader in healthcare logistics. With a patented dynamic assignment algorithm, which makes us better than Amazon for deliveries. So, we are fast, flexible, and affordable, and our beachheads are independent pharmacies. But we hope to extend our footprint into the whole healthcare logistic fields with hospitals, labs, device deliveries, and in-home deliveries. In-home deliveries also pick up. So, the main problem with prescription deliveries, which is actually a 7 billion market. So 7 billion market share for in-person deliveries, out of which 2.8 billion is done by independent pharmacies, which are about 23,000 of them in US. And we are currently integrated with 11,200 of them, because all the pharmacies have pharmacy management systems. Like in the healthcare logistics space, we have Epic. In the pharmacy management system, they have different Epics like Pioneer, Prime, Liberty, which we are already integrated with. And the other half we are slowly working towards. We are also working with, in talks with Kroger, Walmart, Walgreens and Publix. Also talking with Health Mart, which is the Mechanison's wing for franchise independent pharmacies. So, the problem with our main competitors, let's say even Uber Health or MedZoomer and Script Drops out there, is they use the gig driver model. But eBox uses only W2 employees. No gig driver, the same driver shows up with the same uniform, there is reliability and trust. So, non-HIPAA compliant drivers, complex driver management, let's say you have to cancel a medication, add a medication, expensive and unreliable platforms, and no seamless integration with the pharmacy management system. So eBox actually was in stealth mode for 3 years. We even prepared a hardware device which gets us integrated with the PMS at one click. When our eBox driver delivers the solution to the people out there in the society, to their house, once they sign, 6 proof of deliveries are uploaded into the box, along with, as soon as the person hits the green button, this information goes and integrates with the PMS. So it's a one-click solution. So that increases the pharmacist's efficiency. So we are saving the pharmacist's time, allowing him to focus on what he has to do, not what penny pinching will do to you. We make their life easy. And that's why we have not even lost one customer or one employee since our beginning in 2020. So the market opportunity is 28 billion. And at a delivery cost of 7 billion in-person deliveries, 2.6, this is from a UPS study. There's no studies out there, so we did research before entering the field. This is from a UPS study on the in-person delivery and the number, which we already talked about. We are making it affordable, flexible, and reliable. So we seamlessly integrated with the pharmacy management system. We have a patent pending dynamic assignment algorithm, and we save all the people involved in healthcare their time and improve their efficiency so that they can concentrate on doing their job or increasing their market share. So our main competitors are Medroom, Script Drop, and the gig driver models Uber Health, which have all failed, as you know. When you get tech to healthcare, what people fail to understand is healthcare people are so trained and so intelligent that they want to do their job. They don't want to deal with tech. You have to give some management solutions, a personnel to handle it along with the tech. And that's what AAPI has done. We make sure we give a full stack solution where the pharmacist doesn't have to deal with anything of this. All he has to do is fill up his prescription bottle, put them in a blue package with this black box, QR coded, all the driver just scans and goes, that's it. Whether it is a drug like an opioid, prescription drug, which are usually stolen, doesn't happen because it's QR coded, whether it's Tylenol or an opioid or like an immunosuppressant drug costing thousands of dollars, doesn't matter. We get a QR coded box, it's a black label box. And we don't charge a percentage, we charge a flat fee. So for full stack solution, it's $10 per delivery. For a management solution, it is $3 per delivery. And if you use the exclusive SaaS platform, 99 cents to $1. That's about it. So they all failed because they use gig drivers. There was no reliability. You don't know who's going to show up. But our drivers are assigned to the pharmacies and they show up every time, every morning. We have 2 to 3 assignments, like let's say pick up at 12, pick up at 2, pick up at 4 last, so that by 6 p.m. they are delivered, same day delivery, 2 to 4 hour window. So let's say CVS and Walmart, they say we can do all these in-person delivery. If you go out there and ask the pharmacist, there is no pharmacy that delivers before 48 hours. So main thing is our seamless integration. So all these PMSs are built on mainframe systems. So we took 9 months to build APIs to integrate into Pioneer. But what that 9 months bought us was a 2-week integration with PrimeRx, which has 4,000 pharmacies, and a 1-week integration timeline with Liberty RX, which has 2,000 pharmacies. So basically, we can integrate with half the population. So for pharmacies, we are seamlessly integrated. Pricing is transparent. It's a subscription model, so we get prepaid. So we know our operation costs ahead of time. And we are completely HIPAA compliant and also HIPAA audited. Our technology stack went through an exclusive HIPAA auditing external third party so that we are vetted. And as we value add our tech solutions, we are getting them HIPAA audited as needed. For patients, it's reliable on-time delivery, live tracking, SMS notification, secure packages. And for drivers, it's a W2 employee, so with the benefits, organized schedules, we give them HIPAA training and certification. So our business plan, actually this timeline has been like accelerated in the past 3 months since we came out of stealth mode in May at the Pioneer RX conference in Nashville. So we came out of stealth mode. We had 1 PMS integration at the Pioneer RX conference in Nashville, but now we are at 3 PMS integration, and by year end we want to have the 5 major players integration, which is already in the works. There's a lot of data we store. We store the data for 10 years. So even when the Pioneer RX system got down, like CrowdStrike, our pharmacies which had us didn't suffer on delivery because we parallelly stored the data. So our pharmacies could deliver even when they had all this software glitches. Our pharmacy seamlessly delivered to their clients on those 48 hours Pioneer RX was down. That's why Pioneer RX started promoting us as one of the main vendors for deliveries. We are also integrated with Mutual Drug, which serves around 700 pharmacies. They are basically like the wholesale drug providers. We are on like a phased out rollout of preferred vendors with them and in direct talks, and all their customers are trying out a 30-day free trial. Already we have around 10 conversions from that, and in 1 month, in the past 30 days. EBC Analytics is a wing we are going to open up, which we provide this for free right now, but we are going to charge them as we move forward. Like, let's say you're delivering to the same neighborhood thrice a week. We will seamlessly integrate into one. We don't penny pinch. We tell the pharmacies, you deliver on 1 day instead of 3 days because you're not making money. Let's say Tylenol, you make only $2, but you're spending $7 on delivery. Don't deliver. Have a select group of drugs you can deliver. So things like that. And say this physician is prescribing more. You know, stuff like that. So we are currently on target 50 plus stores, 50 to 100 stores by the year end. This is our revenue. 118K 2022, 416 in 2023. Year to date, let me update it. We are at already 464K on target, so 1.1 million today, but on target to reach 2 million. This is our team. Surat Chanda is our CEO, who has the patent dynamic assignment algorithm. These are our drivers on the field. With just 24 pharmacies, we are at 1.1 million. Imagine what 100 pharmacies can do. We are also integrated with Google Navigus, which is a third-party vendor. You cannot pay for the service. You have to be selected based on how you make a difference to the community. So we are the first delivery platform to be into Google Navigus. And thank you, and I will, in support of time, we are just going for a 1.5 million safe deposit round. We are, 7.5 valuation, 1.5 million safe deposit. We have already raised 850K. We already have our first VC Primordial Ventures. We have our first non-family friend angel investors involved for 100K. And we are currently in talks with 4 VCs in the North Carolina region. And Launchpad, Sativa. So here we are, trying to raise the other 650 to close our safe round and go into Series A for a higher valuation, much more. Thank you.
Thank you. So when you go to a pharmacy, you show your prescription card from your insurance company, and then you pay the difference. Medication, we all know, is going sky high, it's going crazy. Is it okay with like the big insurance companies and all that with the shipping? You've already vetted that?
So let me just scale back a little because I didn't have enough time. I thought it was a 15-minute presentation. Anyways, so the reason we became successful is because of insurance clawback. During COVID, because lack of proof of delivery, they did not pay them. So what we did by proof of delivery with GPS coordinates and pictures and signatures, we decreased the insurance clawbacks and people are paid more. We are introducing a new copay structure to our boxes, e-box. When they sign, they can also add copay, which gets seamlessly integrated back into the system. So we are trying to value add our tech stack as we grow. We learned from our consumers. All the solutions and needs came from our pharmacies, independent pharmacies which are beachhead. Right now, we are also working with Carry Medical to deliver blood pressure monitors, sleep monitors, stuff like that. And they used to send nurses and physician assistants to bring back the devices. Now our drivers who are HIPAA compliant bring back the devices, so they save them money. They decreased their 10 drivers. From 10 drivers, they decreased to 6 drivers because we came in. E-box came. So we increased their efficiency and decreased their cost of operation.
Thank you.
So I find it that this has a unique niche in it. A question I had was, Do you think there's going to be a challenge in scaling it up, finding drivers that are HIPAA trained and complying with all those things? And what is it then for the drivers as compared to the Uber and other drivers if they have to go through this training as compared to just being more available for other services?
Yeah. So the HIPAA training is just 2 hours. They have to just sit in for 2 hours and they are HIPAA trained. HIPAA auditing is on our part, which we are, and every maybe 6 months to 1 year based on the requirements or any changes in the HIPAA training module, it's just a 2 hour sitting. And actually, we have not lost a single driver. We have 30 drivers who are our employees. The reason they stay with us is they have a set schedule. Uber, you don't know when somebody's calling you, you accept, you don't accept. And the bad apples usually leave within the first week. The ones who want to stay actually want to work. There are a lot of young people who want to work.
How do you manage to, it sounds like you're drastically reducing the cost of the delivery. How, usually when you go to a W-2 model, all of the other payroll add-ons in terms of running those expenses usually make that a more expensive company to run. What makes your W-2 model versus a 1099 gig model cost reducing for your pharmacy customers?
So healthcare is not a product. If I don't receive my let's say if I don't receive my, let's say my, whatever, let's say a product, let's say I didn't receive my gift box today, it doesn't matter. But if I don't receive my drugs, it matters. And the people who actually subscribe are not the young people. They are the vulnerable population, the Medicare Advantage population. And there are several models called GeriMed, where we are tapping into, where we can serve this underserved population, and there are a lot of federal funds that sponsor the programs. We are looking into those too. And reliability, trustworthy. Actually, all of our customers enjoy. Though our customers are our pharmacies, the people we deliver to enjoy the in-person experience of the same big driver, not the same employee driver showing up and talking and say, hello, how are you doing? It makes a huge difference to us. So, and as I said, we are transitioning into intra-hospital deliveries, lab samples, medicines and medical devices. We are already in talks with Ascension Health in Austin's 8-hospital chain, and UNC Health, and we are and Duke Capital Finance because our founder is a Duke Fuqua grad. Yeah.
So would the drivers be getting paid more than an Uber driver?
They are anywhere from $15 to $17, and if you add the taxes, it will be around 20-21% based on the state. But right now we are in NC. Even at the full stack solution, full driver model, we are doing 30 to 40% profits. Now we are introducing the management software. We are making a profit of 70 to 80%. With the pure software as a solution platform, we are hitting 90% profit.
So your current customers, the 20-some pharmacies that you have, where are they located?
North Carolina.
Okay. Yeah. And then where do you expect your expansion to come?
So we are already in Virgin Islands.
Okay.
Arizona.
Okay.
Virginia, Georgia.
What's driving that? Your sales process?
The management model.
Okay.
The management model is SaaS plus support from our home base in Raleigh.
And how are you accessing those customers though? In terms of
everything is like iOS, like web app, so you can open it anywhere. You can open it like a web link anywhere. Our drivers have like a phone with a loaded app, everything for delivery, and we have a hardware device.
So sorry, to be clear, in terms of how you are selling to the independent pharmacies, how are you
acquiring customers?
Yeah.
Oh, I just went to the Florida conference
where
we signed up 10 people. I went to the Pioneer National Conference,
so
generated 100 interest. I'm the face of the company. And a beautiful one, I hope.
Okay. The round that you have open right now, the safe, what's the cap on it?
We are doing it. It's a 1.5 million safe deposit raise at a valuation at 7.5 million.
Okay. What's the cap?
It's a post raise money 7.5.
Sounds like that's the cap.
It's a seed. It's a seed round. We'll be going to Series A for valuation. At that point, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. I appreciate your time and patience.
Thank you so much, Email Exchange. And if we can have Dan, are you here?
Yes.
Wonderful. Dan, I'm one of our sponsors, Staff Only. Thank you so much for, well, his presentation today pulled up.
Thank you, Gautam. Can I use this? Does it work? Hello? You said it was, is it live? No, I did this 18 years ago, and I was looking for a cable. The guy said, get out of here, right?
Times have changed.
All right, I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay. I know this is ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Namaskar. Namaskar from Staffing Inc. We are a New Jersey-based company. Before I get too further, how many of you have a staff problem? And how many of you want to save at least $40,000 a year on one staff member? Have you guys, thank you. Have you guys tried remote staffing? Yes. Have you guys tried professional remote staffing? This is what we do. We have a staff problem, healthcare workers after COVID, and I definitely, by the way, I like the word C#. Next time it should be C major, C minor.
I wish
right?
I could take credit for this, Mahesh.
Yeah, before I jump on, I wanted to thank Gautam and the AAPI leadership for making this happen. And trust me, we already bagged contracts. I'm not here for an investment, but you can still ask me questions. That would make it more engaging, right? So, what we do, by the way, my name is Dan Nandan. I'm from New Jersey. We are a healthcare staff outsourcing company. The services are provided remotely from India, and it's definitely an educated workforce. I do know we've received a lot of inquiries. My initial presentation when I wanted to talk before we started here 3 days ago at AAPI, the whole landscape changed. People were coming up asking for, hey, can you give me a receptionist? Can you take my phone calls? Is this an answering service? Kind of. But then answering service where we provide patient care, patient customer service. The word receptionist is gone to dogs. That's probably traditionally people want to know. We're not really welcoming sitting in your office, providing these services, but then there are people like PharmDs. 90% of our employees are PharmDs. Someone just had a great presentation about the healthcare and tech. I think the e-box chain. She's standing in the back. So she had a great presentation about what happens between health and tech. So this is where we definitely come in. I think you guys should be called AI Sharks because this is an AI conference, right? Maybe AI Shark Tank. Think about it if it's not trademark. So we provide services at the fraction of the cost, and it is 24/7. I called a doctor, my own doctor. I called him 10 times. Someone answers, it's an answering service. Hey, how many times you'll call me? I said, hey, I have a problem. I want to talk to my doctor. That's an answering service. They need compassion. They need an answer. This is what my staff does. It's not just about customer service. We have something more advanced that we provide. We've been lately providing services which we've been thinking it's revenue cycle management, where people are more worried, doctors and the healthcare providers are more worried about the revenue cycle management, but we learned doctors need help, healthcare providers need help with prior authorization. We have added over 100 employees in the last 6 months who are simply providing prior authorization services. And when I say prior authorization services, what type of backgrounds your employees have? How long does it take? How long does it take for them to pick up? 3 hours. We have references. I'll give you my cards. we have references from doctors like you. We took over in about 3 hours. Cut down the days of processing from 8 days to an average of 24 hours to 48 hours. We went through their records. We have done audits. We made sure that they got paid. After all, you want to get paid, right? Correct? So then we extend our services into the revenue cycle management as well. My background, I've been doing staffing last 20 years. I've been in IT staffing. I've been in outsourcing. Outsourcing into India, this is not something I have developed to bring clients. We were outsourcing our own business, our own admin staff, our own recruitment process outsourcing in India. In fact, I was the first in the country, in India, even in the US, to have recruiters working from India. When the BPO was just evolved in the year, I think 2001 or 2002, we were paying almost ₹1,00,000 for the high-speed internet, and Hudson here in New York City, the phone line would cost $200 per voice over IP line. Now it is like $5 or $7. So this is what the expertise, what I do for living, staffing. What I do for sleeping, staffing. So we know what the problems are. We're pretty good with handling our employees and making sure they're alive 24/7. They're pretty well trained. We have added over 200 employees during COVID, and we are very picky in terms of when we say extended staff, they are going to be dedicated to your company. Do I still have time? I'll just take another 30 minutes, not more.
30 minutes.
So these are the services. I know, I've been hosting shows and I get it. I gotta get out, right? So my staff, we have our booth number is 309. We met a lot of you. I see a lot of people here. But then think about this before I start this conversation. If you have a staff problem, anything that can be remotely, on a professional scale, anything with an educated medical professional backgrounds. I don't want to undermine other countries, but I do know we have taken staff from, there are a lot of Indians here, we have taken staff from other countries because there was a problem getting trained. There was a problem. They take a year to understand. Somebody was, I took 10 years to understand what is Tylenol, to be honest with you. But they will never understand this. You have staff members who can take over overnight. Thank you, Gautam. Thank you, Sharks. And if you have any questions, it's only for the investment pitch or, you can ask me. Because you are also my potential customers here, right? So, all right, thank you. And have a great evening.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it. Electra?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Janine Versi. I am the co-founder and CEO of Electra Health. And Electra is a virtual women's health clinic, tech-enabled, that specifically focuses on helping women navigate the decades from menopause through Medicare. I have the pleasure of working with an incredible team focused on this mission from day one, which is to smash the menopause taboo and to engage women with evidence-based care, education, and community, because we outlive our ovaries by 40 or 50 years. And that has significant health implications, not just in terms of quality of life and symptoms, which do deserve adequate conversation with a provider and treatment, but also how this affects the way that we age over time in the decades to come. I personally came to this space because I have worked in tech and digital health for over a decade. I started out on Wall Street, went to Google, went to Harvard Business School, and that's where I really started looking at digital health startups. I was at CityBlock Health, which you may be familiar with, which is now a unicorn in the value-based care space, and then left to found Electra because I was seeing the opportunity for innovation in women's health but really focused on maternal health, fertility, and family building, and that's excellent, and we need more of that. But what happens when, like me, you're done with the family building era and you're about to approach perimenopause and no one has ever uttered that word to you, and you feel, as many of our thousands of members and patients tell us, completely alone, at lost, at sea, unable to have adequate care from their providers, and these are the most valuable consumers in healthcare. They control 80% of spend in the healthcare system for their families. They are working professionals. They are really holding up our society in many ways. And yet this is all colliding at this crucial time. On a personal note, my family is Punjabi and Gujarati. I'm part of a large Indian diaspora that came from Pakistan, India, to East Africa, to the UK. My parents, both physicians. My father is a urogynecologist. So I spent my childhood with my two sisters, growing up, kind of going to medical conferences at Marriott's while he's giving a talk on overactive bladder or dyspareunia. And it wasn't that cool at the time, but 40-ish years later, it's funny how we go full circle. And I've assembled a team of just incredible clinicians and technologists. So the founding team members at One Medical and Galileo, which you may know of, Omada, Livongo, Calibrate, who recognize that this space in women's health is just as big, if not perhaps bigger, than some of these areas like diabetes and MSK, and it's just the beginning. We're fortunate to work with some exceptional partners and customers, including Mass General Brigham, and have advisors that come from the North American Menopause Society. So the founders of the medical society dedicated to menopause have championed Electra from the very beginning, and that's part of how we have this incredibly high bar when it comes to what is the evidence base for women's health in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Electra is redefining women's health in the second half of life, starting with menopause. We really view this as a wedge into the rest of our lives and how we age, because that estrogen deprivation in the hormonal milieu over menopause affects those major chronic diseases that women are experiencing at an accelerated rate, and especially in the South Asian community when we think about cardiometabolic illness in the 50s and 60s, and it is underdiagnosed and is not adequately treated. And so this entire very vital inflection point, or really phase of life, inflection over a phase, has been overlooked, and that's what we're stepping in to take care of. The problem is huge. There's one menopause-trained specialist for every 26,000 women out there. So the Mayo Clinic just released a study saying 7% of recent trainees feel competent caring for menopausal patients. So I want to say, who here has graduated residency in the last 15 years? Any hands? A few. So you would perhaps be in this 7%, and I would wager, I happen to be married to an internist, so I know what that training looked like, at least at places like Harvard and Yale. It was pitiful. For 50% of the population, there's so little focus and emphasis on this experience that is not going to be optional and drives real outcomes as well as quality of life. These are all interconnected, and I mentioned that we see this as an opportunity as we work with health plans like Mass General Brigham, Emblem Health, about a dozen others at this point. It really costs health plans as they start to think about this overlap between menopause and chronic comorbid conditions in this phase of life. So the Electra solution focuses really on this key demographic, menopausal and midlife women. It's an enormous market. I won't bore you with the numbers, but $142 billion is really a lot to wrap your head around. And what we do is provide an end-to-end virtual solution. We meet women where they are with, starting on the left-hand side, evidence-based education and support. We've taken the concept of the doula, similar in the birthing space, and applied it in menopause. These are non-clinical healthcare professionals who are excellent at providing lived experience, validation, cultural competency, helping women understand what they're going through so they can make an informed decision about their care, so that by the time you get to a clinical visit, it is that much more efficient and effective, resulting in a satisfied patient. We have a Net Promoter Score of 95, and we have for several years. And that patient is getting more out of it, as well as that physician being able to not spend the precious time they have with, okay, let's start defining estrogen 101. Let's start by explaining what are the 34 symptoms. I mean, it cannot be overstated how important it is for a patient to be educated and prepared going into this clinical visit, and to have that ongoing continuity as their care progresses. And so that's why we believe in this holistic model. Is not replacing a primary care doc or a gynecologist. It is adjunctive to, and we work with a number of health plans and health systems to that effect, filling this gap, taking care of a really vital demographic that is not adequately being cared for today, and that represents real opportunity for outcomes and savings. This is a deeper dive into what that looks like. On the left-hand side, one of my colleagues who is a menopause doula, 100 hours of educational content on the platform, which physician practices do not have the ability to do, frankly, is not in their skill set, and this is where Electra really excels. We engage folks with our education, with our content, with events, with community, because that peer support is really important, and then we pair them with a menopause-trained clinician for the right time, right place, right care, and then on to in-person services. We're never going to replace a mammogram or a pap smear, but we facilitate that gap closure, which is incredibly important to health plans that are making sure their population, from a pop health perspective, is healthier, is getting screened, is having appropriate preventative care. So I will check in on time with Gautam, but part of the center of the model is evidence-based, collaborative with both APPs and physicians in our model. And then there's an enormous amount of data to drive personalization. 34 symptoms, none of which you would wish on your worst enemy, ranging from joint pain to weight gain to, we haven't even talked about hot flashes and night sweats. And so when you think about how these different care plans manifest, there's such a rich opportunity to leverage data to deliver even more precise care, and we're just at the beginning of this. Electra has been fortunate to work now in network with about 15 health plans, and that we've experienced 300% growth in patient visits month over month. We're the first to also welcome Medicare and Medicaid patients. So we see women from their early 30s, largely their 40s and 50s, into their 70s. And we're really excited to be able to enter a new market, new states, fuel that growth, and for that reason we're raising additional capital. So thank you very much for your time, and I welcome your questions.
Is this a type of specialty that typically doesn't take Medicaid? And by taking Medicaid, is that a loss leader for you, or are you breaking even, or are you getting similar rates as Medicare?
Yes, great question. Great question. So first answer is yes. Most providers who are skilled in menopause care do not accept Medicaid. In fact, many of them don't accept insurance at all, because your ideal menopause visit, and this is the story of our founding physician, OBGYN at Mount Sinai, she would say born and raised there, retired out of OB when her own perimenopause symptoms got so significant. She thought she had a brain tumor. Fortunately, she didn't. It was brain fog, but she was so shocked, she retooled her entire practice. But to deliver menopause care appropriately, you really need time. So she only participates, or she doesn't participate with any insurance, only cash pay. And in places like New York and LA and other cities, women will pay $700, $1,000 for a 90-minute visit, but that's not our model. Our model is to make that model of care, democratize it and make it accessible. And so on the Medicaid piece, if you're doing straight fee-for-service Medicaid, it is very challenging to make a margin. You do have to start oftentimes there, and that's what we did at the beginning. We've now been invited into unique contracting, so we just signed, I'm very proud to say, a Medicaid plan called Molina here in New York, where we get enhanced rates for the clinical services and for the engagement with our platform. So we were able to negotiate that by making the point to them, because they understand from care management, engagement is so important and yet so absent, and we really have these results to show for it, and so they're willing to pay for it. And with that, even with a Medicaid plan, we can make a 58, 65% margin. Yeah.
Janine, this is a great presentation and it's a fantastic idea. It's an unmet need, and I think great to you for fulfilling that unmet need. In terms of your revenue model, I think your focus has been more on the health plan. Is there a D2C model here as well?
So in the sense that we participate with Insurance Network and then we acquire patients, yes, we do some direct-to-consumer marketing. And we did actually start out as a direct-to-consumer brand, which I think is part of why we've been so successful at engaging this population. Because when we got started, it was, pardon my language, but crappy stock images and Chardonnay jokes. I mean, there was nothing that spoke to elder millennials are entering perimenopause. Women who are in their 70s that are very fluent with using iPhones. They, watching their grandkids in shared albums. Like, they deserve something that is bespoke and thoughtful in its branding and messaging. So I think our consumer DNA really has helped us there. When we partner with these plans, we do acquire patients directly. So we advertise, radio, podcasts, TV, online. But we also partner with the plan. So with Mass General Brigham Health Plan, for example, they have the channels, but we provide the content, text message, email, direct mail, and that really brings down the cost of acquisition for a patient. And then lastly is also referrals. So we see a lot of referrals coming in from providers. ACPNY is a large New York provider group that we're partnering with, and their OBGYNs and their rheumatologists are referring to us because they're like, we don't know what to do with these perimenopausal women showing up with rheumatoid complaints. So, 3 ways in which we're kind of going to market it.
That's great. Well, we already invested in them, so it's right.
It's a nice endorsement.
Are you pitching us?
A couple questions.
Sure.
So 12 million lives, congrats. 15K in recurring revenue on that. So the early days in that journey, to walk me through that version, and just for some context, we were early in Genève.
Oh, yeah.
I've gone through this journey before. Very interested in also going at it again. So look forward to learning more here. And then after that, if you could talk about how much you're raising now. So how much have you raised already? What are you raising, and what's the vehicle?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so first question was business model? Yeah. So the business model is in 2 parts. Today we have customers so 2 parts to our model. You think about the left-hand side, this is available in all 50 states because it's a platform and it's largely self-serve. So the unit economics on our platform are extremely high, north of 65, sometimes 70%, depending on how much engagement there is with the experts on the platform. Customers like Mass General Brigham Health buy this, sponsor it for their insured population. So we get paid per member who engages for a year. And they've renewed 3 times.
Sorry, that per engaged price is?
It's $360 per year. Yeah. And then on the right-hand side, and what this latest raise is about, is combining the platform with the clinical services. So we're now investing, as of January of this year, we started going in network to be able to offer clinical services in network. And so there's a business model which is platform plus clinical care, which is also covered by the plan. We negotiate an enhanced rate for fee-for-service, and then the platform is bundled in. And so there are a couple of different examples with different plans of how we structure these deals, if it includes clinical services or if it's just access to the platform. But overall, the LTV is around, women are in menopause for about 10 years. We estimate the average patient is going to see us twice. It's probably closer to 4 times, but we're just starting to get that data because we saw our first insurance patients a couple months ago, and we've now had 25% come back already. So repeat visit, access to the platform, the health plan is paying. Why are they paying? makes them stand out. They have to compete in a really like tough, competitive landscape, and we're focusing really on the regional players. And then they also understand that we are able to both deliver the care that avoids unnecessary specialist visits, like going to the, go check, thinking you have rheumatoid arthritis, or thinking you have a brain tumor and needing to go in for a battery of tests. So we've been able to show with actuaries what that looks like, and that cost avoidance. And then finally is closing gaps in care. So the plans make revenue from us being able to show that we're getting more folks getting mammograms done on time. And so those are areas that we have yet to build out in our model, but today it's platform, fee-for-service on a path to value. There's 3 dimensions. Okay, and then the second part I already forgot.
How much money?
Oh, we're raising $500,000 to close out a seed extension. It was a priced round. Valuation was north of 18 million.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. Actually, connect with me afterwards. A good friend of mine has started wellness clinics focused on the same product you are in India. So he has a dozen kind of GDCs. Thank you so much. We'll have our next sponsor. Amish, I know we're running a little bit behind time, so just 5 minutes, please, or 3 to 5 minutes. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's even better.
So I guess this is going to be almost a break from all the medical conversation and all the heavy words. Pretty much keeping the 5 minutes in mind, just going to keep it very educative about a lot of questions I heard in the last 2 days while I was down at the booth. It's primarily about what are lab-grown diamonds. So we'll move from medicine to diamonds and jewelry, and I'll give you some, just give you a little bit of my background. I brought the lab-grown diamond technology to the world about 18 years ago. The category has been around now 10 years, likely growing from retail. It's $15 billion today in the United States. 65% of engagement rings now sold in the United States are lab-grown diamonds. But there's a lot of questions, and I want to actually go there. The first most important question that everybody asked me down was, are they real? Lab-grown diamonds are real diamonds. That's something, and it's hard for many to digest because that's what you've always been told. If it's not mine, it's not real. So, because it's all medicine, think of it as an IVF diamond. A lab-grown diamond grows from a diamond. It does not grow from a chemical, it does not grow from the air. It grows from a diamond. You start from a diamond in a controlled environment and give it the time required, which is typically a 1-carat diamond. Takes about 600 hours, perfect time for the films to show up, which I'll let. This is a diamond seed. The first diamonds that we grew were actually from the mine. This is a type 2A diamond, the purest diamonds you can find in the world. They're polished and prepared, ready to go in the chamber. The chamber is the size of a 6-foot dining table, supported by a facility that's about a 3-football-sized field. This seed of a diamond goes in a proprietary chamber, and we pump in methane, which is, as you know, is purified carbon. Carbon that excites at about 1800 degrees Fahrenheit, splits out and starts bonding as a lattice. This lattice of diamond then rain showers on the seed, growing the diamond layer by layer. What comes out at the end of the growing, anyway, if it didn't stop, is a grown diamond. The difference between a diamond from below the earth and above the earth is just the process. This is why the federal trade government, after 6 years of debating with the miners, gave a final ruling that diamonds from below the earth and what we bring to the world are both diamonds. What has been the impact is $0 to $15 billion in the last 8 years, 60% of all engagement rings in America today being lab-grown diamonds. Like it or not, I know there's another one question, and again, I know Gautam's going to tell me time, so just to let you know, a lot of people say, oh, what about value? A question that a lot of people think that they bought diamonds for investment. Diamonds are not investment. My family's in the business for almost 100 years. Diamonds are not investment. I've challenged anybody, if you have a diamond that you bought at retail and can go across the street and sell it for half the price, I will match you and you can pick anything from what I do as a producer. So diamonds only have emotional value, so please do not be fooled with the conversation that be it earth mined or lab grown, diamonds have any value. The only tradable commodity that you buy when you buy jewelry is gold. That's if you can sell it. And if there's a minute or so, if anybody has a question, I would love to answer. Please.
This is a comment, Dr. Emotional value. He said about the emotional value to it. When Prime Minister Modi came to White House with the big gala, you know what he gave the present to the Joe?
Yes, Prime Minister Modi gave Joe Biden a 7.5 carat diamond.
Yeah, made lab-grown diamond he gave to her.
Yes, because India is right now almost leading the conversation of diamonds. The conversation, of course, you've known mining is happening from Africa. The growing of larger diamonds, India is the leading place. It's growing. 85% of the larger diamonds are actually coming from India. And the government of India just gave a $30 million grant to IIT Madras for research. Professor Rao is leading it. Gem is only 16% of the industry. From a medical perspective, from hair plucker to recently I met a dentist who told me something for drilling, from all the way to missile heat sinks. Diamonds are going to have a very unique position. It's the diamond industry will probably be a $30 to $40 billion industry, but the high tech will be close to $300 billion industry that's growing out of India. And for ourselves, so again, I know Gautam's here, so I'm going to leave the podium. But if you have any questions, I'm down there till the evening. And if you want to see anything live with jewelry also from the brand. So thank you, everyone. Hopefully I was good on time.
So they say that diamonds are a girl's best friend. You said now, lab-grown diamonds are a girl's best friend now? Why not?
Diamonds will all... Yeah. So I would answer it this way. Bigger and more beautiful lab-grown diamonds are now girls' best friends.
The real question is, where were you 20 years ago?
That's it. I'm going to have you talk to my wife. I got your number on speed dial next anniversary or such, but wonderful. Foster, please, we're running a tiny bit late on time. I know we'll try to apologize, but try to keep it to about 8 to 10.
Yeah, I took the Shark Tank style literally, so I prepared a short presentation anyways. Hey, my name is Akshay. Along with my co-founders, we're building Foster, a healthcare AI company. As you can see, we have a very talented team. Me and one of my roommates from Stanford, we both studied AI and have been working in AI safety and reliability for past number of years, so we're all tech guys. Our third co-founder has been in healthcare settings for a number of years. She worked in iSpirit and during the data exchange standards program, so very close on the field knowledge. Effectively, healthcare, especially in the US, suffers from a very heavy administrative burden. I'm pretty sure most of the doctors present here, including Dr. Rastogi and Dr. Mahajan, are painfully aware that number of hours and time spent in just writing documentation. And on average, a physician spends around 2 hours just writing notes, clinical notes, procedure notes, summaries, whatnot. This is where Foster aims to alleviate this burden. We are using current gen AI to automate these documentation tasks. Foster very simply is able to ingest multiple forms of data. It can listen into your physician-patient conversation. It's able to pull in data from EMR for past medical records, and then it generates structured clinical notes in the format customizable and as preferred by the physicians. Foster is also able to take in the data, perform reasoning on it, and then extend these documentation tasks even further to fill in registries, to structure the data for clinical trials and other documentation forms. This saves time for physicians, helps in automating a lot of the documentation burden that physicians face. These are some of our early adopters. We've seen very high user usage and retention from the people that we've been working with. Currently, we are commercially available. We are deployed across multiple specialties and clinics in the US, and we have a large commercial contract with Tata Memorial Hospital in India. Healthcare documentation in general, as I mentioned, is a very large market. 300 billion just wasted every year in administrative issues and inefficiencies. And Foster's mission is to eliminate documentation and administrative burden so health professionals can focus on patient care. Thanks.
How are you going to monetize this? Is this a subscription-based AI scribe model, and what does that look like for the U.S. medical care provider?
Yeah, so it's a SaaS product for individuals. We have small, lower prices, and then the ones we're integrating into the EMR's clinics, we charge a higher rate. And because we run our own open source models and with our customizations, we're able to provide it for much more cheaper and on a competitive pricing.
Do you have specifics on what that looks like per month?
Yeah, sure. So for individuals with, healthcare individuals with no integration, it's $30 per month. For integration, depending on the amount of integration involved, it goes from anywhere between $70 to $100 a month per seat.
I thought you said you're using your own proprietary models, or are you using open source models?
So open source models with proprietary post algorithms on it, proprietary decoding algorithms and other safety features that we've built on top.
And is your platform going to be residing within the firewall of the health systems, or does it have to be outside?
It's outside, but it's HIPAA compliant. We've dealt with most of, we made sure the data is encrypted and secured on every piece and every motion. Nothing is stored besides the actual note that's stored within the healthcare setting. But outside of that, the processing and the AI processing, none of that. It's just processed and sent back to the EMR and stored in the EMR setting. So it's all, and the ones we store is fully encrypted, only accessible to the doctor.
So given that in the US, most large health systems, and I want to understand what your target market segment is on this. Much of the health systems are towards larger EMRs. How are you positioning yourself with regards to them? Are you in a big showroom, for instance?
Sure. Currently, we are targeting verticals. So based on our partnership with TMH, we've been targeting oncology as one of our verticals. So we've been trying to find larger clients in the US using that. So we went to ASCO, we're going to different conventions and trying to expand through that. And then the other vertical we're targeting is the direct to customer, where no integration is needed. So mental health, some of the dermatology, there's some specialties that don't have that heavy need of EMRs. So they're willing to very easily just directly use the software. So those we're targeting DTC, and the larger ones we're targeting through our networks and these conferences.
Thank you. What's the startup capital you're looking for?
What's
the startup capital?
Startup capital, we just started, so we don't have a particular aim right now. We're mostly just started expanding. So we're looking somewhere in the valuation range of 3 million cap, and would looking to raise around 1.5 million.
What do you anticipate doing with that? What milestones are you anticipating reaching with that?
Milestones, we basically want to expand our marketing reach. So we currently we're on track to generate or get the revenue of around 100K by the year end. With that money, we expect to 5x that by next year's end.
That's primarily with that one large contract that you mentioned with the hospital in India, or?
A major chunk of it from that, and then the rest from the clinics and the individual doctors.
What happens after you've acquired a bunch of customers and you've perfected this scribe model? Where do you want to take this next? Do you have any ideas?
Right. So this one of the models that we mentioned. This is a mid-extractor model. So what the goal is as AI advances, it becomes more agentic and it's able to automate a lot more of the documentation needs. Clinical Note is a one-step shot, but for this clinical research, mid-extractor, we built a reasoning system. It takes a look at a massive amount of data, and you ask it a question like that goes into a registry, it is able to reason and correctly answer. That's a agentic form of our automation. So we want to eventually go into all forms of administrative burdens and start tackling more long horizon tasks as AI evolves. So currently we deploy these simpler single step, multi-step, and then long term.
Let me just ask you one question that you should have asked before. Why is your model this better? There are lots of groups that are working on ambient listening models. What's the difference about this?
Yeah, so two of the differences that since we're using open source model with our custom algorithms on top, we're able to keep it very cheap and competitive in pricing. A lot of the complaints we've heard from professionals and especially individual doctors is that other competitors are super expensive. So that's been one of, we've worked in safety and reliability. So we have basically safety mechanisms on top, which let's say you generate a note, it compares the context of each point, and if it's mentioned in the source data, so it's fact checked across all the generations. So we focus heavily on reliability, and then the third thing that we're specialized that we haven't seen is customizability. So some of the patients that we work with in vascular health and oncology, they have very heavily structured templates that the rest of the competitors have not provided. Most of the people provide SOAP notes, but we're going much further in the automation where we actually, because we mostly built product-led so far with our partnerships. So we know that they need past the basic note. We want to tackle long form.
The other thing, when we see a patient, it's not just the dialogue with that patient, but there's a lot of medical records that we review. If that's scanned into the chart somehow, can you take that text and dump it into the note?
Yeah, so we can pull in from the EMR, and then we also OCR and reading the medical text. So one of the patients or the clinics we're working with, they have radiology reports that they just have a table that they want to be read. So we just take the image in because they don't want to. It comes from, as in the US, data is siloed, so they don't have it in the EMR even. So we just read the report directly and are able to pull in the data. So that's how we're able to expand our reach.
Thanks. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are the tacos there? Yes. Yes, please. I know we're running late, so please just wait 3 or so minutes, and then we'll go to our final contestant.
Well, thank you everyone. I think it is a fantastic forum. I really love what you guys do as a Shark, and I know we still have to coin a new terminology for this thing, an Indianized version of Shark Tank. I'll think through this also. We've been doing something very similar in Dallas area, as this thing. But a little bit background about us is we are a diversified company, around 22 diversified companies globally. Total revenue of the group today exceeds about close to $75 million a year, and we recently valued as a group overall over $1 billion, including all the segments of the business. I act as a group CEO of the group. Purvesh acts as a real estate CEO. We have a real estate arm of our business. We have a tax and accounting, that's where we all started out. And then we also have our family office who invest in new initiatives and new ventures as well. And we are one of the world's largest media and entertainment company outside of India. So we'll quickly walk you through some few items, and I wanted to share some interesting stuff in this process. Bruce, if you can help us.
Sure. You want me to start the first presentation? A little bit about our company, as Sam mentioned. We are a diversified group with over 22 different businesses and have grown substantially in last 10 to 15 years. We started about 22 years ago in 2002. We have been awarded by several, recognized by Inc. magazine and Fortune magazine for our leadership. And our verticals of the business include entertainment, real estate, and consulting services. Entertainment includes digital OTT platform, radio network, which expands globally with about 22 or 25 new 23 radio channels in UAE, Qatar, Saudi. We are in Dallas, Texas. In America, we have about 11 channels. And we are trying to expand in UK also as we speak. We do have entertainment centers, we call it fun entertainment centers, which are having theaters and bowling and many things in there. Each center generates revenue from $8 million to $14 million revenues. And we are in process of growing them across the United States. Then we have concerts and events business in that segment of the business. Development side of the business, we are residential. We have mixed-use developments, which has multifamily apartments, single-family homes, retail, entertainment centers, and commercial spaces. We play in primarily two markets right now, Dallas and Atlanta. We are developing we have land bank in excess of $120 million, and we are developing total asset under development approximately $1.2 billion in that division of the business. Tax and financial services business, which is our parent business, which is a seed that got planted and everything started from there. So we have more than 2,000 clients we cater to, high net worth individuals, anyone who makes more than $500,000, we try to cater to them to make sure we save them and give them right services. So going down, a little bit about our real estate opportunities that we work with. It gives a quick idea. We have fixed income debt fund, which allows people to make anywhere from 10 to 12% per year. We have fixed income fund, which are mesh lending fund, which can make up to 14% for the investors. And then we have growth fund, which goes from 14 to 25% returns we can make for our investors. As I finish that technical topic of other tax and consulting side.
So we also have qualified opportunity zones with the fixed income options and opportunities. What I would like to do is, I would like to skip a few slides so to cover, a lot of the main key pointers, and then I will take some questions from anyone and everyone is to ask. So, opportunity zones are fantastic even today, people who don't know, as a tax saving tool. And if you do it correctly, it could even add a lot of value, to defer your long-term capital gains, defer your short-term capital gains, and it also helps you overall, if they are in the right zones and right specific areas, it can generate your depreciation and it can get you income as well. So some of the fixed income qualified opportunity zone funds we have, they generate 12% return annualized cash and cash, but on top of that they also generate depreciation and tax benefit. If you add up those tax benefit and depreciation benefit, your rate of return definitely jumps over 24% easily on that. We build data centers mostly in the AI space. We rent these data centers to a lot of medical use cases and other use cases as well. We are more, in the space of controlling the pathway or infrastructure than actually taking the use case. We work with a lot of technology providers and solution providers who are in the AI space to help them host and do large language learning models and many other things hosted at our data centers as well. A lot of people know that, opportunity zones can not only help you defer taxes or give you some additional tax advantage, it can also help you grow your, principal, so any money that you invested today, if you keep the money within the opportunity zone for 10 years, obviously all your growth will become tax-free at that point of time. So it's a huge advantage at the space. So if you're, juggling with any capital gains tax issue or long-term or short-term, this could be a great tool for you to utilize or explore in that space. there's another popular thing a lot of people don't realize. If you're going for exit strategy of your medical practice, we had a client who we asked him, he had a $20 million of capital gains from an exit strategy, and we helped him re-domicile himself into Puerto Rico, had him take a 6 months of vacation, and helped him lower down his entire tax liability to less than 4%. So it was very, very beneficial. And Puerto Rico is still within the US domicile, so you get all the benefits and perks of still being considered as a US domicile. So a lot of people don't realize this thing, and your traditional accountants or CPAs don't focus on the specialized tools and strategies, and we technically can help you and guide you through those processes within our consulting area of the business. Solo business, Solo is another great tool. A lot of people, last year, 2022, helped reinvent the way the tax rates were available. Originally, the tax rates were sunsetting at a rate of 4% every year, and it was going to go down to 22 in 2023, or 2024 it was supposed to go to 18%. But with the Inflation Reduction Act, the solo tax rates were increased to 30%. Not only that, they were increased to 30%. If you're into right space, like brownfield tax rates and low income, you can add up another 20% credit. So some of our projects today within the solo space fall into the space and zone, which can get you 40% to 50% tax credit also on that advantage. Plus, it gets you depreciation and those things. I'll just show you a quick example that could be very interesting. This just gives you a quick idea that if you really see, the total project value was $299,000, including investing into data center and solar. His cost was $16K, out-of-pocket capital was $143K. His compliance fees were $4,000 for over 5 years project. Loan interest, we help him even borrow the money, and the loan interest would be around $31,297. So total capital he would need was $194,683. But at the end of 5 years, when he exits, he technically gets 80% of the money back in the first year itself. 80% of the money, $214,000 comes back in first year, and then balance money comes over fifth year, producing over 35% return for an individual investor. And this could be an excellent tool even for W2 owners. There is no such restriction that this has to be only done for business client or them. So these are the great strategies you should explore. You should look at that. As I said again, your CPA focus is more on compliance and tax part of it. Our consulting firm steps where your CPA stops, and we help you without blocking your capital, how to minimize your tax liability, how to maximize your value. And we have a booth downstairs right here where the reception area is. We have some ice cream booth and all those things. So you come by there, swing by there, and we'll talk in much more detail for you. We have been, with AAPI for more than 15 years. We've been one of the large sponsors for AAPI. We have been in business for more than 22 years. We are a total family of employees. We have 400 plus employees with offices in Dallas as a headquarters, Philippines, and Dubai, India, and very soon we are starting a San Francisco office as well. So anything we can do for you, anybody has any questions, I would like to answer that. If not, I really appreciate we and President to give us this podium to talk a few minutes about our brand and firm as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bauer. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the information. Very interesting, diversified wealth strategies. So our last presenter, Turmeric. Last but not least, sorry we're running a little bit late. Hopefully it's enjoyable. If anybody needs any water, there's some refreshments in the back.
Thank you so much. Also, we've had such great presentations so far. I appreciate everyone who's still here after a long afternoon, and to the Sharks as well. I guess as they start pulling up my presentation, I think what I'd love to share a little bit about is sort of why I'm here. Is my presentation ready to go? As I pull that up, I thought I would start actually sharing a little bit about sort of why I'm here. So as I placed a little concept note on your desks, I'm building the AI infrastructure for clinical trials, and my background professionally is very much in AI and healthcare. But my story for why I'm here at AAPI, actually kind of goes back to my childhood. So I've been attending AAPI for, I guess, over a decade now. Both my parents are doctors from Tennessee working in federally funded healthcare centers. And so health equity is something that I've cared about for a long time. And it's always been very inspiring to be here at AAPI, seeing all the great work that physicians have been presenting on, such as yourself from the talk earlier, and to really see this trend go from both clinical research to also AI being embedded in clinical research, which is very much where I'm coming from, this sort of like
North Star that myself and my team really cares deeply about. If the presentation isn't able to be pulled up, I'm also happy to dive in, but sometimes I think visuals might be helpful given software oftentimes is just tricky as is machine learning, so having a nice visual might help, hopefully. Well, maybe I can just get started. So, as I mentioned earlier, I'm building the AI infrastructure for clinical trials. This is a huge market, but there are some really big pain points that I think we as South Asians unfortunately feel the brunt of. So first, I'm starting with this question of how do we get more diverse patients? Oh, perfect. Amazing. Okay, great. Let's start over. Hi, everyone. My name is Ayushi, and pretend you didn't hear anything of what I just said. I feel like I've kind of dangled like a carrot a little bit. But I'm building the AI infrastructure for clinical trials. My background's in machine learning. That's what I studied at Princeton. And then I also very much am building for scale, so I spent some time at Microsoft before coming to Harvard Business School. And I have a great team. My friend Sid also comes from this like business healthcare background as well. And again, I wanted to start off with like our North Star, very much as I explained earlier, is in thinking about how can AI be used to really revolutionize and scale access to the best healthcare, because we both care so fundamentally about health equity. But as I mentioned, pharma and clinical trials is a massive market, yet patient recruitment is a huge bottleneck. With 90% of these trials delayed to recruitment, almost a third of costs due to recruitment, and attrition being incredibly expensive, it costs about $90,000 to replace a patient that has dropped out. I'm curious from the audience, who here has ever been a part of a trial, knows someone in a trial, or run a trial? Okay, so you guys really understand this problem then. There's also, it's very tedious for providers to like very analogically remember sort of like which of my patients is relevant for a trial, leading to a lot of like low provider awareness. And as you mentioned earlier in your talk, doctors are burnt out. They don't really have the bandwidth to do more tech. They don't have the bandwidth to review more EMRs. Plus, these trials lack diversity. So what I was saying earlier was that we as South Asians are severely underrepresented. We are a quarter of the world's population, yet only 2% represented in trials. That means these drugs are not tested and built for people who look like us. Luckily, it's not just a social good mission here. Recruiting diverse patients matters really, really critically to life science companies. This is an unsolved problem and an unmet need. The regulatory lens is changing, with the FDA requiring diverse patients to be part of these trials. There's also a labeling advantage and product differentiation. Plus, our technology helps save time and money. And another really great tailwind is not just here in the US alone, but actually globally. We see India specifically seeing massive growth in clinical trial infrastructure. In fact, the number of investigators has doubled in the last decade, and there's still a lot of capacity. So India has the potential to increase the number of trials by 5x. So what's stopping this? Recruiting at scale, and that's where we come in. Turmeric is a software platform, and our LLMs help Indian providers here in the US as well as in India connect their patients to clinical trials. So we identify, qualify, and recruit patients through a dashboard that looks like this. And our novel technology has 5 core components. We have natural language processing, and we use our own LLMs to basically read patient records at scale and to say, hey doc, this patient is a good fit and matches the inclusion and exclusion criteria, as well as saying, this patient could be a good fit if you put in this additional test. No other competitor is able to do that, which fundamentally increases the TAM of patients who would potentially be a good fit for an existing trial site. And that's pretty revolutionary. We've had great traction to date. We built a really scalable tech stack. We were working with a great cardiologist out of Mass General who actually met at AAPI last year, which was really exciting. And we have really high accuracy as well. And now we want to bring this technology to India because, as I mentioned earlier, there's so much potential to grow, as well as a great need to get more South Asians into clinical trials. And this is a bit about our go-to-market, and we really need capital to scale. In terms of our business model, we are a headhunting fee for pharma companies. What we've heard is around $25K per patient who actually enrolls in the trial, but in speaking to pharma companies such as Eli Lilly specifically, up to $80K for getting a woman of color into a breast cancer trial. So I'm giving this range to show that this is incredibly important to these pharma companies that is reflected in the ability of their willingness to pay. For clinical research organizations, we're going to be charging more of a monthly subscription fee. And then finally, we're giving this for free to hospitals and patients because they are our economic drivers. We also have a really strong competitive moat. Our machine learning and technology is really robust, given that that is what my expertise is in, as well as my team's. We also have premium features and recommendations. As I mentioned, being able to say this patient could be a good fit if you add this lab is pretty revolutionary. And finally, distribution. We are different from our competitors because we work with doctors. We don't undercut you, we don't go direct to patient. And this is how we stack against, there are a lot of competitors in this space. Most of them are going direct to patient because obviously, connecting with physicians such as yourself is hard. You're seeing so many vendors come, it is hard to go through doctors. We understand that, but we fundamentally believe that is how patients should be engaging with trials. It's not through an Instagram ad, it's not through a Subway ad, it's through people such as yourselves. And again, our vision is that we want to increase the diversity of patients in these trials. We want to increase the number up from 2%. We know leveraging this community is how we do that. And this is our path to scale. So funds from today would be really instrumental in helping us get there. So far, as I mentioned in the one-pager, we've been really lucky to get non-dilutive funding from Harvard, the National Science Foundation, as well as the Mayo Clinic. And we have a great set of advisors and team. So to the shark today, what my proposal is we're really focused on connecting with customers. We are really focused on connecting with doctors. I bootstrapped this whole thing. I'm technical. I don't need millions of dollars to go, hire engineers. What I need is folks such as yourself really championing this. And what that means quite, literally is raising $250,000, but in a slightly different form. Because we're going to be cash flow positive with the first customer we get, what we propose is a 30% royalty with a 2x sort of preference because, again, as soon as we get this going, it's going to be profitable from day one. Y'all saw those numbers. We're getting quoted $20,000 on average, up to $80,000 for each patient who we connect. And given that we are working premium diverse patients that are hard to get, we're anticipating this to be on the higher end anyways. And so this is a little different than the other pitches, which is, again, more of a royalty concept, which means you're de-risked as a shark. That means you're going to see your return on investment way quickly, or way more quicker than if you were to take an equity stake waiting for some sort of potential IPO. And we think it's really aligned because, again, we think doctors here are the ones who are really going to be championing how we get more South Asian patients into these trials. We just get it. It's tedious to review patient records. Y'all are burnt out. So let us do the boring stuff. Let our machine learning kind of help augment who you're able to sort of find and recruit to trials. And let's share that with you in terms of the financial success as well. So with that, I'll take any questions.
So the 30% royalty, can you explain that? I didn't quite follow the structure.
Absolutely. So our business model is pretty straightforward. We take a headhunting fee from pharma. We do not charge doctors, we do not charge patients. So what this royalty would be is, let's say we get $10,000 from headhunting one, we'll call it headhunting just because that's a similar model, from connecting one patient to a trial. We will give you 30% of that until we hit the cap 2x. And so if you were to put in 100K today, within, let's say, 18 months, you would make 200K. So you do not need to wait for a liquidation event. You get double your money ASAP.
Got it. Imagine the headhunting fees depends upon the trial itself. It's not 25K for all trials.
Of course.
So, a few questions. I clearly see a need for this, and there's questions I have around the business model. One is that you mentioned that there is no cost to the health systems for them to be able to refer. Actually, we see it differently. Most health systems would see if you're using our data, you should be paying the health system. You should be paying for it. So in some ways, our health system and most other health systems would actually want to get paid in some way for even providing the referral. So that's one. I don't know if you're
Absolutely, no, absolutely. I think this was more so pitched towards the sharks as investor. But the reason I said 30% is we're super happy to split another 30% with the hospital. That still saves 30% for the company. So you're absolutely right. Again, I was more speaking to you as a shark than a hospital, but that's definitely something we're open to negotiating.
Got it. And then, from a physician, individual physician practice, small physician, large groups, one of the fears that we found is them to think that they might actually lose their patient if the patients get referred to a clinical trial, which is not being run in their practice, but run in some large group. How would you address that?
That's a really great question, and we actually, got that same feedback when we talked to Boston Medical Center in Boston. And that's actually why we went specifically to AMCs such as Mass General. That's specifically why we're working with CME Vellore in India, because these are places that have both a strong patient population as well as existing research. So we are not cannibalizing because we're targeting physicians who are already running trials in their larger ecosystem. Another way to think about it is, such as a lot of these like healthcare practices in the healthcare PE in the US are rolling up practices. That's another good target customer, because you're not cannibalizing by taking someone from a community center and sending them to the hospital. So I hear the cannibalization. We're super aware of how we segment. And right now, as our product is, no, it's not a good fit for every single doctor in the US, but that's okay. This market is really big. Even taking a pretty conservative approach of getting even 2% of this market, which we would definitely be able to get more. Academic medical centers, for example, revenue-wise, way more, plus the healthcare PE. Like, in terms of the people who are not worried about cannibalization are a large enough part of this entire market for us to be a unicorn. What your concern is, absolutely fair. Those are just not our ideal customers.
Some of the previous issues with trying to take, if I understand this right, patients from India and enroll them in a trial for a US-based pharma company, was that just the lack of trust and transparency in terms of fraudulent data or fraudulent patients. How are you going to overcome that or showcase this platform in that route so that they'll be more willing to engage?
That's a really good point, and we've heard that not just in India, but we've heard that with really any trial at all, full stop. So first, we're targeting very specifically in our go-to-market academic medical centers that have historically worked with American pharma companies. So we're not educating, we're not necessarily even, we have the ability to go to the ground, but you're right, that's a big concern. So we're starting with people who already have contracts with these pharma companies who already have that relationship. So the trust is not something we have to build. All we're saying is, you already have talked to AstraZeneca, you're already running this, let us help you make sure that you can actually recruit enough people, because if you can't on time, and if you don't get enough patients, then you're not going to be asked to run another trial. So you're absolutely right, that's why we're super specific and super picky with who we work with.
So I guess on those lines, then it's a counter concern to what he's saying. If you're going targeting specific organizations, they're drawing the patients from the communities they serve, and you may actually just not have that higher percentage of Southeast Asians or Black or whatever that might be serving that community.
That's a great point, and that's why we're going to India specifically, because we found that while working and looking at even the patient populations, just a Mass General versus Boston Medical Center, not to pick on them, but that's just again, I was at Harvard for 2 years, these are the ecosystems I understand very well. You're absolutely right. And we struggled with going to BMC because of the cannibalization issue. It is tricky. The incentives are not clear, which is why going to India made the best sense, because we work with people who are already, again, CMC Valor being a great example, they are trusted. They've done trials before. We don't have the data issue. We don't have the trust issue. We also don't have the diversity issue, let alone they do have capacity. So it's not like we are sort of asking more of them. They're already doing this. We're just helping them do more, do it quicker, more accurately. And you guys have really touched on some of the real tensions to get diverse patients in the US, which is, again, why we're going to emerging markets.
Any flexibility to opening up a round that allows for equity?
Absolutely. I used to work at Bain Capital. Like, I have a ton of VCs who've been knocking on my door, but I'm pretty picky in that I'm only going to be interested in equity capital that really comes with the ability to make sales. And so, super happy to do that. But right now, we understood that having this royalty fee aligns incentives because we don't want any, quite frankly, dead weight on our cap table.
And what are you going to do with the 250,000?
So that's why we need to, the money is just basically scale and get bigger faster, because as you can imagine, digital health records are not quite interoperable at the same level that they are here. Epic, I know we all hate Epic, but it is digital and it is interoperable. And so that money will specifically actually go into not just digitizing records, but creating like a standard. Again, that's in our larger vision of how do we become the platform for clinical trials that will require capital upfront to actually digitize those health records.
Basically, you want to go in equity at a much higher valuation.
Thank you for translating. Because right now, if I were to take an equity round, how on earth would you value my company?
Yeah, I think just as investors, the royalty model is not particularly interesting because it's just a lesser version of debt in some respects. But you could ask people for a very high cap, and we could consider that.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I think I would only consider an uncapped stake because that's what's come to me so far. I was told that this was like Shark Tank, and given that, again, I put in all the work when it comes to like the tech side. The second I get a customer, I will be profitable. So to me, taking equity doesn't make a lot of sense unless it's like truly the right partner, being literally like a hospital who is committed to using my technology would be like kind of the only exception. Again, I've had a lot of VCs knock on my door to feel very humbled to be in that case, but I think I care a lot about getting South Asians into trials as well as, quite frankly, like making generational wealth. So that's sort of why I'm here, and otherwise I really wouldn't be pitching for equity at all.
So you're really looking for strategic investors on that side?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Like BMC.
Mark, this is a sharp day. You leave out the sharks.
I know, I was expecting more negotiations. Like, I came really prepared, so if you want to negotiate with me, I'm ready.
Well done on creating the most sharky segment today. I feel like this was the most shark tank, tiger, prawn, tiger zone that we've created.
Thank you.
Bigger and louder. First of all, thank you so much to all the participants here. It's been a fantastic series. I know it's a little bit long, 2 hours, so thank you so much for your time and your attention. This is the first Launchpad event. I hope there's many, many more to come. Dr. Mulligan championing this cause, I think it's great because we've seen that there's not as many Indians always interested in the business side, but now that we have sort of that first generation underneath us, there's a great foundation of people with finance backgrounds, healthcare backgrounds, business backgrounds, from the tutelage of some of the individuals here as well. I'm sure you're very active in mentorship and building this for the next generation of both healthcare professionals as well as investors. So thank you for all the submissions. Very much appreciate you being a part of this group. Second, thank you to all the sponsors who are also here. Some of you, I think, are still here. Thank you for your time and helping participate today, making this day available. Thank you to the panelists. I know this is a long time, but hopefully it's a good use of your time. Starting to see some interesting new ideas. We had a few service businesses. We had 2 AI-related businesses, so a nice kind of mix of different companies doing different things within the healthcare kind of industry. And then thank you everybody for attending the event. It's always more fun when you see faces engaged, taking a look and seeing some great people out there. Some of the sharks will be available for a quick conversation. Dr. Bullock and Mahesh, we're going to take a quick photo before we depart. But again, thank you so much all for your time, and have a great rest of the AAPI weekend. Anish, also, thank you for your help today.